Jesse, I texted you at halftime. Anthony Davis was absolutely nuclear. 24 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, 9 of 13, 2 of 2. It'll never make the Dallas Maverick fans feel better, but I mean, we saw him get injured as we were getting ready to record. So there's a different tone to this podcast and this episode that we're talking about today because something had happened that everyone knew was going to happen when they traded for Anthony Davis. So what did you think of this first half of basketball and just anything? I just don't know what to think of at this point.
Yeah, so he started next to Daniel Gafford. The starting lineup is exactly what I thought it was going to be. Kyrie, Clay, PJ Washington, Anthony Davis at the 4, and then Gafford at the 5. And for so long, Anthony Davis was asking LA to bring in a legitimate center so that he could play 4 next to the center. That's where Anthony Davis thrives the most. He can out-rebound. He can bully most 4s in the league. He can score on pretty much anybody in the league, but specifically any other 4 in the league. That's where Anthony Davis thrives. And we saw that today, 24 points and 13 boards a half. Like, you saw exactly what Anthony Davis can do when he's put into that power forward position.
Yeah, the first play of the game was him in the high post, and then Daniel Gafford comes streaking down and gets an easy alley-oop.
Exactly.
So I love seeing Anthony Davis this aggressive because I feel like we haven't seen this really since that championship run in the bubble. Him absolutely taking over and being the guy. And
yeah,
it's just insane to see he still has that in him, but at what cost? At what cost? He had a groin injury, non-contact. At first I thought, oh, did he hurt his knee? Oh, then I saw he was holding his nuts. Maybe. And so then I thought maybe he just got slapped, just got his tip tapped. So
tip tapped.
I don't know.
2 for 2 from 3 for Anthony Davis there. Spencer Dinwiddie 3 for 3, Max Christie 3 for 4, Najee 2 for 2. Like, really good 3-point shooting around the board, especially off the bench. But Anthony Davis shooting 2 for 2 from 3 is everything you want and more. 16 boards, 7 assists, 26 points, 3 blocks, plus 9 in 31 minutes of basketball.
Yeah. I mean, first quarter, 14 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 6 of 8 from 3, or 6 of 8 field goal, 1 of 1 from 3.
Yeah.
If he was shooting 6 of 8 from 3, I don't know, man.
He already hit his season averages in the first
oh, don't half. Disrespect though. Oh, first half? Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay, sorry. I thought you were going to say quarter.
24 and 13 in the first half, right? And he averages 26 and 16.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
looks phenomenal, especially on the defensive end. Once again, Anthony Davis, that's that defensive squad that they can roll out with Gafford and Anthony Davis. They're going to control the rebounding. They're going to control the defensive end, and especially in the paint. Like, you're not scoring in the paint against them unless you're just better offense at that point. Like we saw, I can't think of Jalen Green had a lot of sneaky plays in the paint, and it's just better offense at that point, which you can't rely on better offense. You can rely on better defense most of the time. So you can see that the paint defense that they're playing is phenomenal. The guards don't have to play they can play more up on the ball and stop the other team's guards from shooting threes. They can let the guys get to the basket because Anthony Davis and Daniel Gafford have the capability of protecting the paint.
Yeah, you're talking about the defense, and that's the first thing I think of. And then I didn't even realize how good of a 3-point shooting team they were. Like, when you look at the numbers, you look who they have, the personnel's there. And the first thing that comes to my mind is I think of that old James Harden Houston Rockets team, not because they have an elite isolation heliocentric player, but more because it was layup and 3, and then you're going to play hella defense. So yeah, I look at that, and that's kind of like the blueprint of what they're doing, kind of like a new aged, obviously with the hyper athletic bigs and AD and Gafford. And it's crazy that even with those two, they're still able to strive out on the 3-point line.
Well, I think you bringing up James Harden here is actually perfect because this team was built around Luka Doncic, and Luka and James Harden play very similar basketball in the way that they're very ball dominant. They can get you 17 assists in a game if they have to, or they can get you 15 or 60 in a game. So this team was built to be around Luka Doncic. That's why they have the shooting. That's why they have the interior defense, the lob threats. This is exactly what a team that James Harden would have and still could thrive on. It's a team that Luka Doncic, we didn't get the chance to see him thrive necessarily. He missed so many games with this specific lineup and this specific team, but this team was built for a heliocentric offense. And now we have to see them adapt to Anthony Davis now being out there and Kyrie Irving and being more of a team. And it still looks like it's good. Also,
Yeah.
can you hear this dog barking next door?
No, not at all.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
And with Anthony Davis, we're seeing him dominate the ball sort of in a Luka-esque style. They're using their point guards in a very different way. So I'm curious if in the offseason, this is an attractive destination for other guards who think that they can come in and kind of fill some of the roles. Obviously, you're not going to find a Luka, and you're going to build a different setting because you don't have a Luka. You're not going to have that heliocentric system. I'm just curious to think of what guards could come in and actually make this a true contender. And that's if Anthony Davis isn't out for the year. And
So
I don't know.
I think this team is already a true contender, but what other guards do you? I mean, you have your guards kind of locked down for a minute. Max Christie's on contract until 2028. Kyrie Irving is, I don't know how many more years he has. I would guess maybe 2. I don't know if he's in expiring or not. I don't know, I guess, the deals, but it seems like they have their guards, and it kind of seems like they planned on going with Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving as their duo. Like that was Nico Harrison's whole thing was those are the 2 guys they want to rock with and then build from around that. So I don't know if they're looking to bring in other guards unless Luka just absolutely fleeces the Lakers and doesn't resign.
It goes
And
back
then
to
comes
the
back to
Mavericks.
Dallas. And then Dallas doesn't have to worry about paying him the 340, 5-year max contract. They can sign him on a 5-year 280 contract or something.
Yeah.
Say themselves, 80 million. So I don't know if there's if they're looking to sign more guards or anything like that. If anything, you just bring in more shooting. The defense is there. The big guys are there. The guard play is solid. Like you just fill in those holes with a Dorian Finney-Smith type player. Like Najee Marshall's having a phenomenal season so far. Like fill in the guys with the shooting in the wings.
Yeah, and just getting an update here, not meaning to cut off your point, but Anthony Davis is doubtful to return. So
yeah, I
it
mean,
means I guess they're playing it cautious because you have to, especially
you have to
at
with
a 31, 32-year-old.
Yeah.
You don't just want to bring
And the
on
guy they just bought in on pretty much. It's
Yeah.
It's the fact that they just bought in on this guy and he's hurt in the first 30 minutes of the game.
That is really funny. Like
though. That's the thing.
You see, it's not funny. Okay, let me take that back. It's not a
I get
funny
what you're saying.
injury, but it's just, of course that happens. Like
Yeah.
Nico Harrison, what are you doing, man?
Yeah. No, he couldn't even attend I think he might be at the game, but he's like maximum security around him. Like fans are chanting Luka outside the stadium. They're chanting sell the team outside the stadium. Like, dude, Mark Cuban's behind the backboard. Like he's at the game right now. He's on the floor.
Really?
Like, yeah, I just think it's absolutely like Nico is tripping, man. But who knows? We could all be, I mean, if they win a championship this year, like, does that right the wrong? Or are they still like, shit, we should still have Luka?
No, I think it's worth it. Everyone is always talking about how they could win 2 chips in a row and you're still screwed because you don't have Luka for the next 10 years. A championship is a championship. And even one, they were probably being dramatic either way. One championship is a championship. That's more than what, like a few teams have ever had?
Like almost half the league.
Yeah. Not a lot of teams have championships. Not a lot
Even
of teams
finals
have 2.
appearances.
I mean, Dallas, they have the one from Dirk. And I don't think they have anyone other.
No.
So getting number 2 is huge. I mean, you could maybe go 30 years without getting another ring.
So does this right the wrong of Luka? If they win a championship this year or next year, does this right the wrong? Are you like, okay, they got one, like I'm okay with the Luka thing? Or are you still like, shit, this team's gonna be competing, or this duo or this whatever, this group of guys will be competing for championships for the next 3 years. But with Luka, we'd be competing for championships for the next 10 years. Like, is that value more than like having just the one championship this year or next year?
No, I think if you get one, it doesn't right the wrong because it's still a bad decision. I think because on paper, unless he's just the smartest guy in the room and they win 2 or 3, but like it's going to be a bad decision no matter what happens based on the optics and based on what like the 2 players that are involved. If they win, it'll make people feel better. It would make me say, okay, you risked it. It made it worth it. I don't know if I would have done it because the chance that if you were to do the situation 100 times, I think you don't win a ring more than 5 times.
Yeah.
And if you get a ring, it's lucky. A lot of luck has to go into your favor anyways.
Anthony Davis has to stay healthy.
Yeah, like I was saying though, it's like you could go. The Pistons haven't won a ring since '04, and when they won there, that was still early into their big, like
Yeah.
their their
I
guys.
mean, we got Sheed that year.
Yeah, that was like the start. And then
Yeah.
of course they made all those Eastern Conference Finals, so I don't want to like dismiss
8 in a row.
it was nothing. But if they won another one, that'd be awesome. And then they might not be in the situation they're in now. I mean, we're
Right.
21 years later and we aren't even sniffing a championship.
The first round, like even a playoff win almost, it seems like.
Yeah. So what do you think? Like to me, it doesn't right the wrong. It would make me feel a lot better about it. I guess that's my take.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, the only way I think it would right its wrong is if Nico is right about Luka and him not taking his conditioning seriously, and Luka doesn't prove Nico wrong, and it ends up like a Joel Embiid type thing where he's just I don't want to say fat and lazy, but like I don't even know if you can count that as like an Embiid thing, but like if Luka was fat and lazy or something and it wasn't worth the 350 million 5-year contract and this was a smart trade, that's the only way. But I don't see that happening. There's just no way in hell that happens. I think Luka's going to have some sort of dog in him, like a chip on his shoulder now. So I don't think that's going to happen. But I think that's the only way you can get out of this and be like, yeah, like I feel good about what I did.
And
Unless this team like three-peats or gets 2 in a row. One, I still don't even know if it's like, okay, whatever. I think maybe 2 or 3, but like the odds they even get 1 are super slim already.
well, and Joel Embiid he's been wearing down the past few years, but he recently won an MVP and he's still shown he's a high level player and he's 30. That's still, and he's a center at 7 foot.
But
So
they're not looking for high-level player. They're looking for championships. And Joel Embiid hasn't made an Eastern Conference Finals in his career.
Well, no, I'm talking about with the drop off. So
Right.
like with Luka dropping off, like they're trying to compare it to Embiid. Luka probably won't drop off until 32, 33. It maybe that's just
If he's on the
predicting.
Embiid path.
Yeah, and that's still 8 years away.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you think in the next 2 years? Because then maybe you need to talk to your medical team and see why they came up with the thing to
Yeah.
saying that, oh, you're better with Anthony Davis over the next 3 years than you are Luke over the next 8.
Yeah. Just
Like,
to be clear, I don't think either of us think Luka's going down that path. Like
no.
we don't agree with this decision whatsoever. I think we're both just trying to rationalize the most that we can with this decision.
Yes. And I hope people who thought we were crazy or maybe were like, what are they talking about? Listen to you there and made it that far before clicking off and reporting and disliking.
Right. Like neither of us agree with this decision. We all think that was a terrible decision. Like I'm just saying, like if there was a way for them to be like, all right, we can get out of here somewhat happy. It's got to be multiple championships, a championship at least, and kind of betting on Luka's downfall.
Betting on Lucas, which is so stupid. Like
so dumb. So
imagine
dumb.
being a GM and saying, I think this guy's going to fall off. Let's trade him now when he's 25. Like,
yeah, he's been an MVP, a top 5 MVP ladder player since he was 20 years old, his first or second season in the league. He's been already competing for MVPs and 5 first-team All-NBA appearances, 5 All-Stars, like one of the greatest scorers of all time. Like crazy.
And it looks like Dallas is going to wrap this thing up, though. It's 109-100 with a minute 28.
Yeah.
So I think we're about to wrap this up as well. Okay, bye.